From the national newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White. Canada is reportedly mulling whether to send troops to Greenland in a show of solidarity. President Donald Trump has ramped up his talk about the U.S. taking over the Danish self-governing territory. Both the Globe and Mail and CBC say unnamed sources confirm Canada has drawn up contingency plans for sending a small contingent of troops to Greenland, but has not yet decided whether to do it. The Prime Minister's office and Defence Minister's office haven't yet responded whether Canada is considering sending troops. Prime Minister Mark Carney has arrived in Switzerland, joining the global power elite for the World Economic Forum in Davos. University of British Columbia political scientist Stuart Prest says U.S. President Donald Trump's global trade war and threats against national sovereignty make attending Davos less politically risky right now.
There's still suspicion of that kind of global wealth and power, but there is also a recognition that these are difficult times and that Canada needs to find allies wherever it can.
He adds Trump's unpredictability could upend the entire gathering. Premier Doug Ford says Canada's deal with China on electric vehicles has hurt Ontarians, and he hasn't spoken with the Prime Minister since. Ford says he was disappointed Mark Carney did not give him a heads up about a potential deal before last week's trip to China.
We had such a great relationship, and I look forward to continuing a great relationship. But it's all about communication and collaboration and partnership. They keep preaching it. Well, at least I know where I stand now.
The deal significantly lowers tariffs on up to 49,000 electric vehicles from China, in exchange for China dropping its tariffs on Canadian canola and some seafood. Canada's providing consular assistance to the family of a woman found dead and surrounded by dingoes on a beach in Australia. RCMP have now confirmed the woman was a Canadian citizen, but are directing all questions about the investigation to Australian authorities. Most economists don't think the latest inflation snapshot will spur the Bank of Canada to change its benchmark interest rate next week. Inflation rose in December, but mostly thanks to the federal GST holiday a year earlier that temporarily lowered costs for dining out and a range of other items. Former late-night host David Letterman is bringing his comedic stylings to Just for Laughs Vancouver.
Letterman is set to appear on stage with special guest Zach Galifianakis on February 18th at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre in Vancouver. The festival says it'll be Letterman's first time performing in Canada since 1978. The 78-year-old hosted Late Night for about a decade starting in the early 80s before taking over The Late Show until 2015. He also hosts the Netflix interview series My Next Guest Needs No Introduction. The Just for Laughs festival runs from February 18th to the 22nd. Brenda Molina Navidad, The Canadian Press.
In sports, the NHL's Vancouver Canucks have traded Kiefer Sherwood to the San Jose Sharks for defenseman Cole Clayton and second-round picks in both the 2026 and 2027 drafts. The move comes just hours before the Canucks host the New York Islanders. Meanwhile, the Toronto Maple Leafs start a key 5-game homestand tonight as they welcome the Minnesota Wild. The Winnipeg Jets visit Chicago while the Calgary Flames host New Jersey. Canada's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is among a loaded group of all-star starters announced today that will compete for the world team in the NBA's new format. Canada's Leylah Fernandez is set to take on Indonesia's Janice Chen in first-round women's singles action at the Australia Open. Fellow Canadians Victoria Mboko and Denis Shapovalov won their first-round matches earlier. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have signed American kicker Sergio Castillo to a 2-year contract extension. He helped Winnipeg win a Grey Cup in 2021. From the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.